Warning, this podcast contains graphic content and may not be suitable for all listeners. I'll be discussing violent crimes, including the details of the murders, crime scenes, and other potentially distressing aspects of the cases. Listener discretion is advised. I'm your host, Marissa Sperlin, and you're listening to Manner of Death, Homicide. In the seemingly ordinary town of West Wendover, Nevada, a complicated teenage love story would end in unforeseen tragedy. This is a tale of jealousy and obsession over a perceived threat that may not have even been there at all. This obsession would cost 16-year-old Micaela Costanzo her life in the most brutal way. West Wendover, Nevada is a small town located right near the border of Utah. It's home to the vast Bonneville Salt Flats and mimics its much larger sister city, Las Vegas, with its own casinos along a much smaller strip. It's your typical small-town, close-knit community. Micaela, or Mickey as her friends and family affectionately called her, was born on May 3, 1994, and was the youngest of three sisters. In 2011, she was a popular high school junior at West Wendover High. There, she was on the basketball team, but she was most known for her athletics and track. She loved to write poetry and helped to produce and edit the high school newspaper. Micaela's mother, Celia, would describe her as considerate and funny. She would tell Dateline, for the episode Under the Desert Sky, that Mickey was very reliable and not your typical teenager, as she would check in with her mom all the time, almost, quote, to a fault. Which is why Celia became alarmed when Micaela didn't call her after track practice on Thursday, March 3, 2011, to let her know that she was walking home. Celia called Mickey, only to hear the continuous ringing that would end up on the voicemail recording. She called right back. This time, she said, it was like when you hit the ignore button, straight to voicemail. Celia immediately called Micaela's sister, Christina, who tried to calm her down. "You're probably just missing her," she would say. But Christina could not get a hold of Mickey either. Celia rushed home early from work, hoping to find Micaela home at their apartment. But when she arrived, she was met only by Micaela's other sister, DJ. DJ, who considered Mickey to be her twin, called her friends and Micaela's friends to find out if they'd seen her. They hadn't. We don't hear this often in missing persons cases, but because Celia and her daughters had reached out to so many of Micaela's friends and acquaintances, and nobody had seen her, police immediately started searching. By this time, it was dark in the desert, and Micaela's mother had a sinking feeling. Something was very wrong. Police began their investigation by checking Micaela's cell records because, as you might imagine, a high schooler's cell phone is usually a treasure trove of information. This was no different in Micaela's case. Police checked the cell records and found that Micaela's phone calls and text messages abruptly stopped right after school. Most of them were from one number. This was the number of Micaela's childhood friend, Kody Patten. Kody Patten was an 18-year-old senior at West Wendover High. He had been friends with Micaela since early on. One source says that they once dated, however, Micaela's mom called it puppy love and says Mickey wasn't allowed to date back then. Kody Patten was a self-confident teenager and was known for having a hot temper. He struggled in school and at home with his parents. So much so that at one point, he actually moved into the home of his fiancée, Tony Fratto, and her parents. Because Kody's phone number was so frequently popping up on Mickey's cell phone records from the day she went missing, he was quickly interviewed by police. The night before his interview, he had been out with the other searchers frantically looking for his friend. He told police that he had last seen her around 5:30 at the front of the school with somebody. "I thought it was her boyfriend," he said. When interviewed by police, Javier said that he had not been with Micaela after school, and, in fact, he too had had a difficult time reaching her on the phone. Micaela was acting fine, he said, but the last phone calls and texts hadn't come from Mickey's boyfriend. They had come from Kody Patten. Mickey's family waited. When she didn't show up for school Friday morning, Micaela Costanzo believed that she would never see her daughter alive again. Micaela's sister, Christina, was determined to find her. She searched for miles in the desert alone. She had a feeling that she would be the one to find her. However, on Saturday, March 5th, another searcher came across some fresh tire tracks along a desert road and discovered some disturbed sagebrush. He saw what he thought might be blood underneath the brush and called police. The area was near the local gravel pits. Christina had been right there the night before. Police dug near the sagebrush and found what they thought might be a body. Before uncovering more, they sealed off the area and called crime scene investigators to the scene. Christina happened to drive by the area as she continued her search and saw the unmarked police car on the same road she was on the evening before. As she spoke to the police chief, she told him, "You don't know that that's her." And he said, "You're right, Christina, but she's the only one missing, so we're pretty sure it's her." They told her that the forensics team would be in the area by morning, but Christina couldn't fathom leaving her sister, if it was her sister, alone overnight. Police would not allow her to stay, but they assured her that they wouldn't be leaving. They had found Micaela. In a shallow grave just 5 miles from her home, she had been beaten, cut, and stabbed repeatedly across her face, neck, and head. It was an aggressive and personal attack. A zip tie was bound around her wrist, making police believe that she had been restrained and taken from the school against her will. Police had checked security footage at the school early on in the investigation, and it had shown Micaela leaving, with somebody, around 5:15 p.m. They reviewed the footage from the school again, and that somebody with Micaela in the video was none other than her longtime friend Kody Patten. He had exited the school through the same doors Micaela had, minutes before. With suspicion against Kody rising, police bring him in for another interview.
Did you have anything to do with her disappearance?
No, sir. Sorry if I get emotional. It kind of upsets me that people ask that.
So, who do you think might have been involved?
Everybody likes her. I mean, there's nobody off the top of my mind that has anything wrong with her.
So why would someone want to hurt her then?
No idea. She was good to everyone. And even if she did do something, she always righted her wrongs, no matter what.
Kody, tell me about your rings.
This one I got from Tony's dad, because he's allergic to titanium or something like that. So he gave it to me, and the CTR means choose the right.
What's choose the right? What does that mean?
It's our LDS church. It's kind of like go down the path of righteousness. Always choose the right instead of doing wrong.
What does that mean to you?
To me, it means always have faith in what you do and always do what you know is right rather than follow someone else's example or what they're doing, not peer pressure. Just have your own life, be yourself, and just have fun.
You gotta be truthful, okay? And
What's your ring say? Choose the right thing.
what's the right thing right now?
Just do what's right.
He tells them that he had been calling and texting Micaela asking for help to move some car parts. That day, he had seen her walking toward the front of the school. They exchanged a few words and went their separate ways. Police confront Kody with the video evidence that contradicts this story. He had told them he had seen Micaela at the front of the school. The video, however, shows the two exiting out of the back of the school. Police tell Kody, "It's as though you were waiting for her, because that was the time she disappeared, and that was the time she died, and you were involved." After several minutes of tearfully denying involvement, Kody has a change of heart. He asks to have a few minutes with his father, Kip.
I know what's going to happen to me. I understand that. I'm willing to accept it. But I can't bear for you guys to get...
Kody, don't worry about it.
Well, too bad.
I'm sorry. I think you should sign it, and I think you should talk to him, and I think we should just get this moving.
Kody, I'm disappointed, but I love you. You know, I just don't even know what to say.
From the other side of the door, police could hear Kody's father begin to wail. He told Kody, "What you did is heinous. I don't want to abandon you at all. You have to do what's right for Micaela now." So, Kody told police his story. He had picked Mickey up at school, and when they started driving, Mickey had insisted that he break up with his fiancée, Tony Fratto, and date her instead. When Kody refused, he said Micaela began pounding on his chest. She hit him, and then he pushed her. She fell down and hit her head. She was looking at the sky and her eyes turned black. She started to shake and seize. Kody said he grabbed his shovel to hit her on the head to knock her out, then panicked and cut her throat. He dug a shallow grave by the brush and took her clothes and belongings to the gravel pit to burn them. During this interview, Kody was tearful and said that he was feeling physically ill. He was immediately arrested and taken into custody. Micaela's family was absolutely shocked. Celia thought that there was more to that story, that somebody must have made Kody do this. Tony Fratto, Kody's fiance, was a pageant queen from a devout Mormon family. She was described as responsible and had few friends. She began dating Kody in the 9th grade. He was possessive, but she was determined to tame Kody's temper and help him join the Marines. Kody even converted to the Mormon church when he moved in with his fiance's family. While Kody was in jail following his arrest, Tony stuck by his side. She sent love letters, visited him in jail, and talked with him on the phone. But by all accounts, Tony had shut down following Micaela's murder. Just a few weeks after Mickey's death, Tony called Kody's father and requested that he drive her to meet with Kody's legal team. She was ready to tell her side of the story. She told them that Kody had texted her, quote, "I have her," and picked up Tony. They drove into the desert near the gravel pits, and Mickey and Kody got out of the car. Kody hit Mickey. At this point, Tony was out of the car too, and she and Kody both began kicking Micaela and hitting her with a shovel. Tony admitted that she had held Micaela's legs down. When asked who cut Micaela's throat, Tony said, It was both of us. Kody's legal team handed over the confession tape to law enforcement, and Tony was immediately arrested. Now, there were no fingerprints or DNA found at the crime scene, and the two lovers were giving police different accounts of what had occurred the night of Micaela's murder. Tony told them that hitting Mickey with a shovel had been an order from Kody. She said that he was abusive and would yell at her, restrain her, and throw her down. There was footage to back her story up. A school camera had once caught Kody grabbing her around the neck in front of her locker. Tony hadn't filed charges because she didn't want to keep him from getting into the Marines. She said that she thought she might die if she didn't follow Kody's orders. As legal proceedings began, Kody was subsequently offered a plea deal. Plead guilty to first-degree murder and receive life in prison, but with the possibility of parole, in exchange for testimony against Tony. He initially took the deal to avoid the death penalty, but later changed his mind. Tony was also offered a deal: testify against Kody and plead to second-degree murder for the chance of parole after 18 years. Tony took the deal and tells investigators a new story. This time, she says that Kody was upset with Mickey. He sent that ominous text, "I have her," to Tony and picked Tony up. Tony saw Micaela stuffed in the back of the SUV, and the three drove into the desert. Tony tells investigators that Kody sent her a text while driving. "We have to kill her," the text said. Kody ordered Tony to stand guard while he dug a hole. He then took Micaela from the car, pushed her to the ground, and demanded that Tony hit her. Kody pulled Mickey's hair back while Tony kneed her in the face. Then Kody punched and kicked Micaela, and Tony and Kody took turns hitting her with a shovel. They put Micaela, who was barely conscious, into the shallow grave. Tony held her legs down as Kody used a knife to slash her throat. Tony would describe that Micaela looked up at Kody and asked, "Am I still here? Am I alive?" Kody then ordered Tony to get back into the car while he buried Mickey. After the gruesome murder, the two went into town and picked up McDonald's, then drove across the border into Utah and burned Mickey's belongings. Investigators would find one more significant item in Tony's possession that would give a clue to the motive behind the murder. She had been keeping a diary. In it, they would find the scrawlings of a deeply troubled girl. "I am worried that Kody will leave me for someone else and that the relationship with him won't work out." She wrote that she would try to overdose if she lost him. The diary showed Tony's intense jealousy of Micaela. She wrote, "We might as well break up so he can get back together with her. I know in my heart he really doesn't love me." Weeks before trial, Kody would plead guilty to first-degree murder, and he received a sentence of life in prison without parole. To this day, the couple deny having a reason for taking away the life of their classmate. The judge would say in court, "Micaela's sweet voice will never be heard again. Her sweet smile will never be seen again because of you, Mr. Patten. Your acts of planning this murder, carrying out this murder in such a vicious manner, and then attempting to cover up this murder, are hardly the acts of an impulsive, irrational teenage mind. You always had the ability to stop the wheels of this murder you put into motion, Mr. Patten." Micaela's mother and sisters continued to try to heal after the loss of Micaela, but they continue to have nightmares. This man should never see the light of day or be given the chance to see the light of day ever again, says Celia. He took my daughter's life. He didn't give her a chance to finish high school or to get married or to have children, or to go to college. He had no right to take her. So he has no right to have a life or have anything. He should never be free to do anything ever again.